We're going to do something really stupid this weekend. Do you want to know what it is? We are going to a cabin in the woods, and we're going to read spooky books while we're there. I figure that in the spirit of it being October, it's time for us to do something spooky. So we've got some horror books that we're going to be reading this weekend when we go to the cabin. We've booked a 3-night stay at a secluded cabin. I believe the thing was secluded Texas getaway on 25 acres. So we're going to be real alone. It's going to be me and Kira and Ariana. We're all going. We're going to hang out. We're going to have a good time. We've chosen 2 books that we're going to read together, and then each of us has some selections of individual books that we're going to read. The 2 books that we have chosen to read together as a group during this weekend are Secluded Cabin Sleep 6 by Lisa Unger and The Children of Red Peak by Craig DeLuey. Both of these books are set in kind of secluded woodsy areas. That's why we chose them, but we don't know much about them other than the fact that Secluded Cabin Sleep 6 was just, we chose it basically purely on the title because ours is literally a secluded Texas getaway and it sleeps 6, so we kind of have to. The Children of Red Peak, however, is about like a cult in the woods, it kind of seems like. So there's not much else that I know about them personally, and I prefer it that way. I know we did some research when we first chose the books. I don't really want to know more than that. Both of those are going to be read on my Kindle. And then I have selected 3 other books to bring with me, maybe 4 that I'll bring, but 3 that I'm planning on reading through this weekend. And one of them I might read before we go because just like get me in the mood, because I'm in the middle of reading a bunch of like fantasy romance books, and it's just a very different vibe than like mystery, thriller, horror. So I have 2 library books that I'm going to bring with me, and then another book that I got before we had chosen because I thought we might choose it. So the first library book that I have that I might read before we go is Sign Here by Claudia Lux. This one seems like it's more of a comedy horror kind of thing. It's about deals with the devil and, you know, deals with hell and selling your soul and stuff like that. And it seems like the person that we're following for the most part works in hell and is trying to like target a specific family to like meet a quota or something. I'm not entirely sure exactly, but it seemed fun and I've been wanting to read it and my library had it, so I checked it out. And then the other one that I have that I'm excited about because it's a fairly new release is What Lies in the Woods by Kate Alice Marshall. And this one is about 2 girls survive an attack from a serial killer and they identify him and put him away, but then it comes out that they lied about something and then they return to the woods later where they were attacked to discover what's going on. So this one's actually pretty short. This one's only it's like 300 pages. So it's the shortest one of all of them that I think I've picked out so far, maybe other than this other last one that I have, but excited for that one as well because again, wooded area, going to be in a cabin, excited to read things that are going to make me spooked out to be there by our lonesomes. And then the last one that I have is one that I physically own, and I might annotate while we're there. I don't know. I'm going to bring my annotation supplies, I think. And that is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. This one I've heard a lot about. This is about a woman who kind of spies on her neighbors in the house across the lake and then kind of gets to know them and then sees some drama happen and has to figure out what's going on. So seems interesting. I also really like this copy. It's really nice and floppy. Good copy of a book. Those are my 3 individual books that I'm bringing, and then we have the 2 others. I might also bring Saturday Night Ghost Club, but I feel like 5 books in 3 days is a lot. But that's really the only reason we're going out there. We might do some hiking and like, you know, other things. Like we're gonna do some cooking and stuff over there. It's gonna be a fun time. Let's do a fun little packing moment, shall we? We leave in like 2 days, so I should probably get going on that, huh? You gonna come with me? You wanna come with me? I'm gonna pack you away, okay? I'm packing you up. I'm doing it.
I think I can fit.
Crickets?
Is it a sign?
are you?
Oh my god.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so we made it to the cabin last night. We got in, we unpacked our groceries. It was exhausting. You saw footage of the drive. It was terrifying. That was nightmare fuel, and I disassociated to get us here. But we are here now. It is day 2. It's Saturday, and we are going to start reading our first book, which is Secluded Cabin Sleep 6. I'm gonna make us some dinner, get that started because it's slow cooker, so we need to do that now. We just ate lunch, and I'm gonna do that, and then we're gonna get started. So, Secluded Cabin Sleep 6, here we come. Good morning. It is our final day. First of all, it's Sunday, here in our spooky cabin. And I don't remember, I think I did a little walkthrough, earlier at one point, but if I didn't, I'm sorry. We have one more day here. And it seems like based on the pace that everybody's reading at, I think we were overzealous with wanting 2 books done. So I finished the first one that we decided on, which was Secluded Cabin Sleeps 6. And I finished that yesterday. But it wasn't really a thriller. It was like a drama with thriller elements. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later once everybody's finished it. Everybody has some personal books that they brought along. So I'm going to read one of those. I'm going to start on, I took it out into the dining room already, but I'm going to start in on The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I'm going to start annotating because I'm in the annotating mood. I'm going to write down my thoughts about Secluded Cabin in my book club journal. We have a few other things that we're going to do today that are unrelated to reading. Like I have some baking I'm going to do. That's going to be fun. So here we go. Okay, it's our final morning here. We are getting packed up and ready to leave. We're gonna do our update for the book probably either like next weekend or something. We're gonna get together a different time at my house and actually do the book talk part of it. So you'll see that here in just a second. But I don't think I ever gave you guys like a tour of the house. So I'm gonna do that now and then we will vacate. So as you come into the house, this is what you see. It's a little bit of a mess right now because we're getting cleaned up after last night. We were up kind of late last night and then have to get up a little early this morning. Say hi, Kira. So actually this table started out over there. We're gonna have to move it back. It was like right here. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. Living area, like a sitting area. This might actually be supposed to be the dining room. I don't really know. And then the kitchen is over there with the washer and dryer back behind there. And then back over here, like a desk. I put all my camera supplies over there. And then we have like a bathroom, which is cool. And this is where Kira slept. The Airbnb wants us to strip the bed, so that's what we're doing. There's Ariana. Say hi, Ariana. This is where Ariana slept. You go back over here. I know that everybody got some of the spookies, but for me personally, I had mega spookies. I have many an entrance into my room. So there's this door, this hallway, this closet's been locked the whole time. Can't get in. Don't know what's in there. Probably personal effects, but I choose to believe it's haunted. Little small half bath kind of thing. And then this is the master, which is where I was sleeping, which is super beautiful and it's huge and I loved it. But like, you've got all these cabinets and stuff up here, but you've also got 4 windows and another door that leads out to the side of the house and toward that laundry room. The other nice thing about this is I did have a private bathroom. So we're vibing. So that's the house that we've been sleeping in for the last couple of days. And then when you come out here, you're looking at the kitchen. We are going to finish packing up now. I might set up a time lapse of us doing some of that, but probably not, honestly, maybe a little bit. And then we are thinking about going to Barnes on our way home because there's one in one of the cities on our way home, like the only city that we pass through because it's a lot of backwoods. And then, yeah, see you in a bit. Yeah, man. Hey y'all, this is Editing DEIDRE. I just wanted to be really clear about the format of the rest of this video. It's almost going to sound more like a podcast from here forward. There are 3 of us sitting in a room talking about the book, and we do go into spoilers, although I do mark at what point spoilers start. But there's very few cuts, and the conversation is a lot less organized than some of the things that have been on this channel previously, which I think is probably going to be the case for a lot of our group discussions, the ones that we do end up doing. So anyway, just be prepared for that. That's why this video is so long, is because we ended up talking for like almost 40 minutes about the book, and I cut out what I could as far as some of the filler or repetition, but it ended up being quite a bit longer than the actual vlog pieces of us being in the cabin. So if you enjoyed this content, let us know, because we might put out more videos like this where we just read a book and talk about it and make it sort of unedited, or we could potentially do podcast type things, you know, whatever it might be. So also, as a note, content warnings and trigger warnings for sexual assault and some minor self-harm. We don't really start getting into it until in the spoiler warnings, but just so you know, sexual assault is a big theme of this book, and so it's important that you know that before going into not only our review, but potentially reading it as well. So proceed with caution if that is something that will bother you. But yeah, just be ready. Enjoy what is coming up next of the Bandits and Bookworms, the first gathering of Bandits and Bookworms as a whole on the channel. All right, y'all, we are returned from the cabin. And we have thoughts on Secluded Cabin Sleep 6. We did not end up reading The Children of Red Peak. We ended up needing kind of just a relaxing weekend. So we read the one, but that's it. So we're here in my office, not the Secluded Cabin, discussing the book. How are y'all doing? How are things?
Good.
We're all distracted by my dog.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a few weeks, so some of us remember the book better than others.
Yeah. Yeah, that's extremely true. I've read several. We were just discussing this before we started recording. I've read several books since then, so we're gonna do our best. So, Secluded Cabin Sleep 6 by Lisa Unger. It followed. Oh my god, I don't even remember the characters' names.
It was
Oh
my god.
I don't really remember names to begin with. Oh my
It
god,
was-
what are you trying to do?
It was Hannah. Hannah was the main one.
Hannah was the main woman.
That's right, because they
Yeah.
called her Han.
Yeah, that's right. And then all of us in the cabin were like, "It was just a prank, Han."
It was just a prank, Han.
There was Bruce was her husband.
Yeah,
Mako.
Mako,
Liza.
Liza,
Liza.
Cricket.
Cricket. That's right. And then what was his name?
What a
Lucas.
Like a
No.
No,
back name.
dude, Cricket for real.
Yeah.
Cricket and what was her boyfriend's name?
I wanted to say Tom.
It wasn't Tom.
Benjamin? No.
No, it started with like an L or a J. Yeah, Kira good.
Joshua?
Joshua. I think you're right. I think it was Joshua.
Bracken.
Bracken.
Kraken.
Yeah.
And then Henry.
Henry.
Who would pop up out of nowhere.
And, oh, what's her bitch? The Trina.
Trina. What's her bitch? Yeah. Correct.
What's the daughter's name? It was short for something.
Gigi?
Gigi.
Yeah. I don't remember what it was short for.
I don't
The
think
daughter
so.
was such an inconsequential piece
Yeah.
of this that I don't really care. So you can tell that, like, from our escapade and trying to remember them all, there's a large cast of characters in this book. It is, many people are involved in this, and it gets kind of convoluted, but we'll talk about it. We follow all of these characters as they go to this cabin, because Mako's put together a get-together.
Guilt trip.
Guilt trip,
Yeah.
yeah.
Get together and everything, but it doesn't open there, though.
It doesn't open there.
It opened
Yeah.
with the 23andMe adjacent
Yes.
Yeah.
thing.
What's it? Origins.
Origins,
Yeah,
yeah,
it opens on
Origins.
Christmas, and they all get this mysterious package that's like not from anyone. No one claims to have gotten it, and it's like a 23andMe like thing.
Yeah.
But it's called Origins, and it's
Yeah.
like, here's a DNA test. Want to take it? And everyone just kind of goes, not really. Weird package.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because they all think that it's her dad, the father figure, but he's not. He claims he wasn't the one who did it.
The mom is then convinced it was Mako because it's something Mako would do.
Would do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, buddy. Come here. Come on. Come on.
You got it. You got it. Come on.
You can do it.
Oh my
Come
god.
on. Oh, Jesus.
It was like a hairpin turn. He made a decision.
Are you good, bud? It's an eyebrow whisker. Oh, Jesus. Fuck.
Nick gets those too.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, give me.
But basically what they do is they go to this, like, cabin, but it's like, you know those cabins that, like, oh, it's a cabin, but then it's a mansion with, like, you know, a huge glass wall and towering thing. That's the cabin.
Here's a visual representation of the cabin.
Yeah. But that's the cabin that they go to. And then it's essentially about them being at the cabin and everyone being in varying degrees of uncomfortable.
Yes.
And then they're just in varying degrees of uncomfortable for a while. And then shit kind of happens like 3/4 of the way through the book.
Yes.
And then it wraps up.
Oh, and then surprise, every so often you're going to cut away to a guy named Henry and follow his life, but you have no idea how that ties in
Yeah,
until the
enjoy
very
Henry.
end.
Enjoy Henry just, you know, as a child and then a teenager and then an adult with no connection to anyone.
And like dealing with some real shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Henry goes through some shit.
He's
Enjoy Henry.
poor Henry.
Bracken, who's like fully aware of how douchey and entitled these people, all of them are,
Yeah.
even though Hannah starts out not being that bad,
Yeah.
puts cameras in the shower
Yeah.
and just watches his guests.
Bracken is the one who owns the cabin.
Yeah, he
Bracken owns the cabin.
He owns the cabin.
Yeah.
He has like 6 of them or some shit, or like one big one, one little one. Is that what it is?
He has a couple of them. He has multiple, but this one
Yeah.
is like the biggest one.
And like
Yeah.
gets weirdly thinking that like Liza's leading him on, who's Mako's wife, And then she's like, cool, we're done now.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, right, totally. But then checks back in on her, but somehow manages to not catch her on camera the 1 minute we would have wanted him to catch her on camera.
Right. And the other thing that happens too, that like this book was written a little awkwardly because you follow all of these 6 whatever main characters, and then you flip to Henry every so often, and then the killer's perspective is brought in with Trina, and Trina is the one who is like doing all of these things, but then you don't know how any of it ties together until the very end, which I know is like the point, but it also just feels so, it feels distorted. It feels like I literally was spite reading this book by the end of it to figure out what was going on. I didn't care. I just like, I knew we were doing this vlog, and I like felt like I had to. Like, that's where I was at with it.
It's one of those things where it's like the story consciously recognizes that everyone in it is a douchebag,
Yes.
but doesn't do enough to either redeem them
Yes.
or like punish them or like do anything. It's just kind of like, yeah, these people just kind of suck.
Yeah.
Here's the twist to the end.
The only one who like has some redemption at the end is Bruce. Was that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce. Actually, he's pretty much not like a douchebag.
He's like the straight man the whole way through.
Yeah, there's like one thing that happens very early on. There's like a, oh my god, is he cheating on me plot. And
Yes.
he's like, no, that isn't what is happening. I can't talk about it right now, but I need you to trust me. So that's a little bit weird, but then it's revealed later on what was happening. And it's
one of those things where you're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that's like the
that
one
makes sense.
situation where I would be like, yeah, okay.
No,
I get it. We're gonna go into spoilers
yeah.
during
So-
this whole bit as well.
Yeah.
So.
At this point, I feel like we can't really talk about how everything else like
No, we can't
we
talk about the
do
rest of the plot without spoilers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
without talking about huge spoilers. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but Hannah is a weird simp for her brother, and I feel like there was stuff in there that they were hinting she was into him, and I did not care for it. But her brother's
I didn't get that impression from it,
No,
but
I
like
got
I
it.
don't think it was intentional that like she had a thing for him, but yeah, the way that she like described him,
that's true. Her descriptions were weirdly specific. Yeah.
it feels like someone writing siblings who has never had siblings.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
It's
Yes.
you
That's
can
true.
always
Actually.
tell when someone doesn't have siblings and they're trying to write siblings.
they call
It's
each other bro and sis.
Well,
Yeah.
there's that, and there's also like they focus way too hard on like the physical attributes from their sibling,
yeah.
and so like
And,
literally,
like,
if I were to
this
try
is
to
how other people see my brother, and it's like that's not how siblings talk
That's-
about their siblings.
no, like if I were to try to describe you to anybody else, I'd be like, I don't know, they're like kind of a little taller than me, and they have like blondish hair, and they wear glasses.
You wouldn't be
Yeah.
like,
That
yeah,
would be
my
as-
sibling I want to bang.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah.
That is as far as my description would go. Like it would be.
Yeah.
That would be it. So
And they're always like, oh yeah, and the women always really love his personality and all this kind of stuff. And it's
what
like,
personality to love? I just okay.
yeah,
Anyway.
but it's also just
Yes.
like no one describes their siblings that way. It's
No.
always like, yeah, they're kind of a brat and everything. Oh yeah, they are a brat. How dare you fucking talk about
Yeah,
this
it's like
sibling
I'll
and
pound you in the sand if you do it again.
Yeah, like
everyone was terrible except Bruce. And Bruce, where I was getting into it, is he secretly was trying to get proof of her brother, not just like embezzling funds,
Mhm.
but being an actual rapist.
Yes.
Which his sister is fully aware of and
Yes.
is like, but there's two sides to every story,
Yeah.
even though I'm fully aware that he raped these people.
Yeah.
And then it flips to Cricket, who is a bad person as well, but he also assaulted Cricket.
Hannah knew about
Yeah.
one, I think, right? Or did she know about the others? Am I crazy?
she knew about
She knew about the one in
the
high
woman
school.
in high school.
Yeah.
And then she was
Cricket.
vaguely aware of
Cricket. Yeah.
And then
And
I
then
think she like was aware in the sense that like, yeah, that sounds like
that's a
something
possibility
he
he could do,
but
yeah.
wasn't like fully confirmed or didn't really know what was happening.
yeah, and
with
then
the other ones.
at the end of it all, once like so here's the other big twist that happens in this that was just like fucking what? Trina is actually
Oh, by the way, Origins comes back.
Origins is important
Surprise.
to all of this. Trina is actually the half sibling of Mako and is trying to kill everybody in their lineage basically because their father, their donor father basically
Oh, yes,
was a
because
bad guy.
That's why they're the Origins tests is that
Yeah.
they were sperm donor babies.
Babies, yeah.
Right?
Well, Mako was specifically.
No,
Hannah was too.
Hannah
Mako
was too, but a
different.
different
sperm donor.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that sperm donor father was like a serial killer in
The
like,
80s or something, and like
further back than that. I think,
anyway,
but yeah.
maybe it was the 60s.
Henry's
70s.
also related to them.
Yeah, and Henry knows and gets to know Trina over the course of his
because he's
chapters.
So they're half sibling.
Yes.
And that's why he's important. Surprise.
Yeah.
Is that he's their half sibling and he meets Trina and then he figures out that Trina is killing all these people and is like, could you not though? And she's like, no, I'm gonna keep doing it. And he's like, I mean, if you got, but like, could you not though?
Yeah, and so he goes and he tries to stop her. The other thing that's important to note is you as the reader cannot put that together. I mean, you can, but she goes by a different name with Henry. She goes by Kat with Henry.
Yeah.
And so you can figure out that like it's all one name if you think that hard about it. But at the end of the I really, like I said, I was kind of head empty, just fucking spite reading.
I'd figured it out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It was Katrina and Trina were the same person and it was the same like girl. I was just trying to figure out like her motive, and as soon as Henry met up with her,
you were like, oh.
I'm like, oh, okay, she's doing this because she hates her dad. She has extreme daddy issues. That is the motivation for
like this whole thing is daddy issues.
Yeah.
Daddy issues.
Yeah.
And then Liza had an affair somewhere, so she's pregnant, but it's hinting at it, but it's not a hint. And then there's a thing where you think Bruce is having an affair, and at this point, I wouldn't really blame him. This family's terrible. They're all terrible. They all deserve.
I'd really want out if I were him. Yeah,
I would get it.
There's
But
literally a scene
bad.
where like Hannah, like when it's revealed what Bruce was doing is that he was like working with the FBI to be like, hey, this dude's a bad dude and everything.
Yep.
And like Hannah realizes that like, oh, that's why he didn't like want to come here or do this. Like he's always disliked Mako and all these things. Or Mako or however it's pronounced. And like all these things, and she literally just goes, man, poor Bruce. And I'm like, yeah, no shit, Bruce.
Oh my god.
No shit, poor Bruce.
Then it comes back later with her being like, but Bruce has apologized for doing this to our family, and I'm working on forgiving him. And it's like,
right? And it's like, dude, the other thing that happens too is that after all of this comes to light, Mako goes to jail, does all the things. Liza, who almost gets killed as a result of all of this, and somehow miraculously her baby survives a stab to the gut, which I'm like, I suppose it's possible, but that feels incorrect. Then at the end of it, decides to continue being married to Mako.
And support
him. Through it all?
Through all the, like, rape allegations and everything, and, like, it's seen as, like...
you're strong for staying with him and doing this.
Like, yeah, it's portrayed as, like, oh, we can finally be this happy family now, that, like...
all of our secrets are out. And it's like, hey, maybe don't be that way.
Maybe your secrets are bad.
Yeah.
And you're bad people for them.
The other part of this, too, is that Trina had, like, enlisted Joshua's help, so he was kind of getting close
he's also one of the siblings.
Yeah, he's one of the half-siblings, too, so he was also getting close to this family through Cricket, who's just a family friend, but through Cricket by being her boyfriend, but then they, like, kind of actually fell in love, but not really, and then, like, there's too many characters in this. There's too much going on for a 350-page book.
It should be 2 separate books.
Yeah.
And then those books shouldn't exist.
Yeah. We should just not put them in the
together.
world.
Yeah, the only people who I'm like, yeah, you can be okay is Henry and what's her face? Henry's significant other.
Oh my god. I
forget her name.
I forget her name, but
Yeah.
they deserve happiness because they're actually chill and not horrible people.
Yeah. I think Bruce on his own deserves happiness.
Bruce on his own deserves happiness. His daughter and his mom deserve happiness. Like,
yes.
they can be happy.
They can all be happy together.
And Henry's family deserves happiness.
But like this
everyone else.
Everybody attached to Hannah and Mako.
Whose name is Michael.
Yeah, his real name is Michael, by the way.
Michael.
Yeah, he decided to go by a douche name.
It's like if someone named Ted was like, call me Blazer. I'm not gonna, Ted. Like, you act.
Gamer tag.
Yeah.
Because he explained that he's like, it's a type of shark, and someone's like, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, why?
God, no, but oh god, I had something else to say.
Blizzard knocked it all out of my head. every fucking everything went out of my head. I can't with this.
That was what it was. This did not occur to me until just now. But like the book kind of makes a big deal about how like Henry is dark-skinned, which obviously, you know, back in the 80s and stuff, not a good time and all that kind of stuff. And it's also like why he's like, I want to kind of know who my dad is because my mom is very white. So I want to like kind of figure it out. So I'm like, okay, so obviously the dad has to be dark-skinned as well, but that just didn't show up in any of the
that just gives credence to your whole author writing a sibling character that has never had siblings, because she focused so hard on that and then didn't focus on it with any of the other characters.
Yeah, like none of the other characters are mentioned that they're dark-skinned or look like they could have been darker skinned or look like, you know, like it makes sense. Like, some of them are like, even with like families and everything, some kids are more dark-skinned than others, like that's how it works, but like none of the other siblings have there's many siblings that get brought into this and is ever described as having like darker skin or tanner skin. It's always like,
I feel like other than Katrina's name, there wasn't any threads for us to put this together beyond like Origins was involved somehow.
But it just like makes it like, why did you call out Henry? Because like in his story it makes sense again, because then he's like, I want to know where I came from and like everything. It's like, I know my mom, but his mom was a whole deal anyway.
Families are a problem in this book.
His mom was like, seemed at first
say it at all.
No, like his mom at first just seemed to be kind of like that like hippie flower child kind of thing, and then it turns out she's like on the run for some reason, and that's like a huge mystery, but like she doesn't, like they never have like the same last name in two places or whatever, and she actually changed her name previously from like what she was born as, so like, and then she gets murdered. Henry goes through
Alice is her name.
Alice, that's what she changes her name to. So, like, and then she gets murdered, and Henry has no idea who he is or where he comes from, because he doesn't even know where his mom comes from. No. And his dad is just not in the picture at all, because obviously, sperm donor.
Yeah.
So he's like, it makes sense that he's kind of like, yeah, like, I want to know where I came from. Obviously, I look like my mom, but I don't look like my mom, and I want to, like, figure it out. And it's, like, a huge deal to him. So it's like, why are literally none of, like, I could get it if it was just like Mako was like, oh, he just got a little bit of the lighter skin complexion, where it's like he's passing either way, right? But again, like, not Katrina, not any of the other people that Katrina murdered, not Joshua, like, none of them are described as having darker skin.
It's also very obvious that this was more of a mystery than it was a thriller, it kind of seemed like, until like the very end.
Oh yeah.
And like, not giving us
only, other than Trina's, like, past killings, there's only one killing in the book, and it's Liza, and it happens, like, 2/3 of the way through.
Yes.
And then she survives.
And then Trina does end up getting big killed at the end.
Yeah.
But, like,
who killed, is it Bruce?
No, I think it was,
Hannah.
No, I think it was
Cricket.
It was Cricket, you're right.
Yes.
Cricket shoots her.
Yeah, we went through all of the characters.
Someone died and it was so unmemorable.
Yeah.
We couldn't remember who
did
her.
it. Yeah. Do you want up? Come here.
Which is frustrating because I've read her other books and they're pretty good. And this one just kind of went off the fucking deep end into 10 different... You could tell me, do you remember the scene with the pirate? And I'd be like, what? I'm sure I read it.
Yeah, I was like, I believe you. I don't know it's there, though.
The other weird thing is that, like, they're describing the house and whatever. Do you remember the chefs who showed up?
Yeah!
And then didn't do shit and then disappeared.
No, you're right. There were, like, some staff in the house that were there for, like, 10 seconds, and they were obviously there to be a red herring. You could tell it when they came in, and then they, like, showed up and they were like, I'm gonna tell you a creepy story, and then they left. And that was the whole thing.
The creepy story was about these sculptures that are in the house that are made out of bone.
That mean nothing.
And, like, then they're very specifically like, oh, yes, they're made of human bone. And you're like, okay, where did the bones come from? It's never brought up again.
It's never explained.
There's just this human bone sculpture there, and everyone's like, I mean, it's kind of weird. I don't like it.
I forgot.
Man, this cabin's great!
But the ghost! There was also the little girl ghost.
Oh my god, there was a little girl ghost!
The spooky story was that the house had a murder in it.
Yeah.
And a little girl was murdered in the water. And that was it.
Yeah. And they, like, saw the ghost at one point.
Yeah, which, like, it might have been, like, alluded to that was like, oh, it was Trina stalking around in the woods, but you never get any closure on whether or not, no, that was a real ghost, or that was just Trina, or whatever. It's just a scene that happens where they're like, ghost! Time to go in the hot tub. Like,
it's true. Like, they're not exaggerating. That's the funniest part. They literally like, that was terrifying. Time to go!
Yeah, they were also unedible, and...
Yes.
I sometimes go down to my kitchen on edibles, and I think I see a shadow in the back door, and I don't just go, that's fucking weird. Let me go take a bath now. I'm like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, right?
Who's that? Who's there?
Like, no, it's... I don't know.
Yeah, it's like there's so many little plot threads that just go nowhere that are clearly meant to be like, maybe this is the thing that's happening.
Oh, yeah, and for the record, while they're in the hot tub is when Liza's getting almost murdered.
Oh, yeah!
Yeah.
And her husband's trying to bang Cricket.
Yeah, her husband's literally, like,
Yeah.
banging, like, almost banging Cricket in the hot tub. If Hannah hadn't been there, they probably would have.
Yeah, and
Which
Cricket's
leads
like, oh.
to the nice other part about Mako, because obviously we've talked about the fact that he's a rapist, is then you get full context of what happened in the past, is that Cricket and Hannah, who still fully support Mako at this point in the story, which
Correct.
has been, years later,
Yeah.
literally walk in on him actively raping a girl.
Yes.
And then just kind of, like, clean her up and take her home and don't go to the police or report it or
Nope.
anything, as she's actively screaming that, like, he did this horrible thing to her.
And
they're
she
like,
said no and she didn't want it.
No, you're silly. And then they talk
Yeah.
to her mom and they're like, she drank too much at the party. We don't know what happened. And then
Yeah.
Cricket in the car, and it's the most self-aware moment Hannah has, and then it's out the window.
Yeah.
Cricket goes, how could he do this to me? Because
Yes.
Mako had just broken up with her,
Yes.
and he's like, and she basically is implying, like, how dare he sleep with someone else? And Hannah's like, do this to you?
Yeah.
And then they move on and stay friends for 40 more years.
Yeah.
And then Liza would have been redeemable until she stayed with him at the end.
Yeah.
Because Trina's like, I'm killing everybody. I feel bad I'm killing a mom with a young kid, but I'm gonna have to do it so that people stop supporting this fucking asshole. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. Like, Trina wants to kill everybody in the cabin because she sees them as, like, Mako's supporters, which, like,
To
at
be
this
fair,
point, to
Most
be
of them
fair,
are.
Yeah, because it's like, yeah, no, they literally...
And they all appear to be.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
all appear to be. So, like, literally everybody but Bruce and Josh, who Josh is, working with her and new to this whole fucked up family unit anyway, and Bruce is literally actively working to get Mako arrested.
Correct.
Everyone else in that cabin who's involved is just kind of like, I mean, yeah, he's, done some things, but it's just Mako. He's fine.
You sometimes have 2 glasses of wine after dinner. Everyone has their faults, and we don't point out yours.
Yeah,
Everyone has
exactly.
glasses of
Some
wine
people,
after dinner.
have that extra Oreo. Some people commit sexual assault on other people.
It's fine.
Remember the random ass blowjob at the beginning?
Oh my god!
That's right.
Indicates it has no spice, and really, outside of the sexual assault and this one random scene,
Yes.
it's not spicy. And
No.
like, after they've all, like, picked up the origin tests and everything's, like, calm down at Christmas, Hannah's like, and now I'm gonna give a blowjob to my husband.
In the kitchen of my parents' house.
In the kitchen of my parents' house, and she starts doing that, and the chapter just ends, and, like, that's the one bit of spice in the entire
Yes.
thing, and it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, where does this origins test come from? And she's, like, terrified that someone has broken into the house, and she's like, I gotta, like, check the locks and, like, make sure that, like, the security, like, hasn't been, like, disabled or anything. Time to give my husband a blowjob. And it's, like, literally that quick.
Like,
It's like she was like, yeah, the house isn't secure, but you know what is? My mouth around this dick. That was it.
I can secure one thing in this family. It is my duty to do so.
I think we've kind of dissected the hell out of this book, which is great. What are your final thoughts? What were the final ratings that you gave the book on Goodreads if you did rate it?
I gave it 3 specifically because the characters were so well written. I hated them very much.
Yeah.
And I like her writing. It was good. It was well written, except for how much shit she tried to pack in. So I was like, 3 stars. I wouldn't read it again. I'm not going to read it again, but it was well written.
Yeah, I think I'm going to revisit my rating scale when I next... Oh my god, that's going to be all over the mic. Flap, 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 flap. I think I ended up giving this 3 stars on Goodreads. At the time, I would stand by that because I agree that, like, it had potential and I probably won't revisit it. Actually, this is probably what it'll stay as, because I think in my new version of the rating scale is, like, if it's your jam, then it's your jam. I'm never, like, it was fine. I didn't want to, like, thoroughly DNF it. I did spite read it, but I wasn't, like, forcing myself to read it. I was just more so, like, I was hate reading.
Like, some of the characters, because I'd also probably put it at 3 stars. I'll put things on my Goodreads at some point, maybe.
You should.
Yeah.
Goodreads is fun.
Yeah. But it's mostly because I just have so many things I need to put on there that I'm just like, I'll put nothing on there because I'm either going to do it all or none of it.
Just start from scratch. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Just,
yeah.
now all of my things from now on are Goodreads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, probably around 3 stars because it's like, there's Henry. Henry's a good bean.
Henry's a good bean.
Like, there's enough, like, redeemable characters that it's okay. But, like, again, with, like, characters like Liza or Hannah, or even Cricket at some points, where it's like, you could have been okay, but then the last epilogue, it seems like, okay, everything's going well, and we're all still kind of supporting Mako for no reason.
Got it. Yeah.
Like, if that had been their final wake-up call, and they were like, holy shit, I need to reevaluate myself and do way better,
Yeah.
and, like, do something, it could be like, okay, like, you are still kind of a terrible person, but, like, there's hope that maybe, you know, another 20 years down the line you'll be decent.
Yeah.
But then they just don't.
Yeah.
Do y'all remember the woman that Bracken ends up with, and she tells him she knows about the cameras, and then invites him to live with her and her young child?
Yes.
Yep. Weirdly enough, I'm still happier where he ends up than a lot of the other characters.
Agreed, actually, yeah. Like, I'm still
This is the
happier
sad
for
part,
him
is
than I
he's
am
one of
for
the
most of the
redeemable
rest.
characters. He's one of the
He
ones
takes
that,
the cameras down.
He does.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he's one of the characters that actually gets, like, redeemed in the end, and I'm, like, relatively okay with it in comparison to other ones. Where in other stories, he would be the douchebag where you're like, no, that doesn't,
no,
like,
no.
make
That doesn't
up
make
for
it up for it, but
In
he
this story-
in this story, he seemed reasonable.
Yeah.
He seemed like the reasonable
The
one.
weird peeper who, like, again, I can't believe I'm even qualifying this, but, like, didn't do anything else beyond that, which in this story
All the weird
is...
voyeuring, you know.
Yeah, he's a, you know, it's not that bad.
He could have secured his mouth around a cock. Oh, God.
Oh my goodness.
Alright, so all in all, I wouldn't. Just don't read it. I mean, you can if you want to. I'm sure Lisa Unger's other works are fine.
Henry's chapters somewhere else. And
Just read it as a novella.
Yeah, read just Henry's chapters, and you have, like, a decent short story that
Yeah.
you can read and have a good time with.
Yeah.
Or even one of hers, she has one called Unknown Caller. It's like 50 pages, and it has the same plot twist where you're like, I saw that coming a mile away. It's so good. And it doesn't have Mako in it. So, you know.
It's probably generally a good sign.
Yeah, reviews on all her other books. It doesn't have Mako in it. So.
Doesn't have Mako in it, so it's generally good. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like down below. Leave a comment on what the spookiest place you've lived in is, or any other comment that you want to leave, because that's kind of a weird
visit
prompt.
a cabin that has a ghost and also a peeping tom and also
So a hot tub that you can go into after the
And
ghost.
23andMe.
Yeah, and also another guest cottage down below that somebody maybe got murdered in, but didn't quite.
Have you ever seen a sculpture made out of human bones that everyone's just chill with for some reason?
Have you ever murdered someone? We won't tell.
This is not legal advice. But yeah, do all the YouTube things. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon, smash it so that you get fucking notifications and stuff.
You can wrap your mouth around that collar.
Secure your mouth around that bell icon.
Secure your mouth around the subscribe icon. It's the perfect.
That was my line.
And we'll see you in the next video, and you make sure that you are practicing safe text. Bye.
If they're practicing safe text, they'll know how to wrap their mouth around it.
Yep.
They'll be secure in that.